Hello, this is day 5 of my video blog, and I wanted to go over some things I've touched over the past couple of days. I noticed when I was looking at the footage, I talked about a couple of things and I really didn't give you any really details about what they actually are or how to do them. So when I talk about rewrite, it's simple. Well, to me it's simple, but it might not be simple to everybody. So rewrite simply means you've actually written down something, you have to go back and look over it. Now, I say that, but some people haven't even written whatever they want to film. They just have an idea, they have a camera and they'd like to film something. Great. So first, you have to write a script. As I said before earlier, scripts are different than writing books or plays, because with a script, you really don't describe the scenery. You really don't describe what people are thinking at all, or you might describe a little bit of what they're doing, but it's more because it's actual pivotal to the actual scene. For instance, we'll use Harry Potter and the well, any of the Harry Potter movies would be great, but just go for the first one with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. With Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, we'll use the first scene where Dumbledore comes in and the cat appears first, and then Dumbledore comes out of the darkness into the light. Well, in a book, that would be written out in very descriptive terms. It would have talked about the darkness, it would have talked about the trees, it would talk about the street and how it shimmered against the light from not only the moon but from the actual street lights. It would have talked about the cars down the street, it would have talked about the types of houses. It would have been very descriptive to actually get you to actually visualize what they're talking about, so you can actually be delved into that world when you're reading the book. However, when you're talking about actually doing that on screen or screenplay, there's not that much description. You pretty much have something going on lines of exterior, night, Privy Street. That would be pretty much your whole description of that whole scene. And then it would go into, the Dumbledore appears out of the woods. That would be it. And then you have the characters, him saying his line and being, the character is monotone, or the character appears sad. You would have that so that the actual person, the actor or actress who's playing these roles, will actually know what kind of emotion to convey. But you wouldn't have any of the information as far as what actually they're wearing, what the street looks like, whether it's dimly lit or wonderfully lit. You wouldn't have any of that in the script. And from a writer to go from a person who's been a writer, who has written, whether it's books, plays, or whatever, to go from something that's very descriptive to something more narrow and basically just doing with the verb or the actual words that come out of people's mouth, that can be kind of hard. Like I said, there are plenty of books out here that are good for helping people write scripts. I've read some of them myself. And they're also wonderful programs, and YouTube is a very great resource for writing scripts. What I've been taught and what I've read and looked at on YouTube basically say the same thing. Stick with something you know. No one expects you to go out here and make a movie, whether it's a short indie film that lasts 5 minutes or it's a feature film that lasts 2 hours. Nobody expects you to go out and write the whole thing all on your first time and get it right and it comes perfect. There are some people who are amazing who can do that, but they're very few. So writing the script must come first. It's great to have an idea, but if you don't have a script down, and even if you're just doing it with you and your friend, you need a script. So let's say you don't want to have any people in it at all, which is possible. And there are some films and some shorts that have no people in it whatsoever. So then what are you filming? Are you filming animals? Are you doing like toys that you're changing stuff around? Are you just shooting pictures of the environment, like the sunrise and sunset, and just showing the span of time of how people go up and down the street over a certain time, or how the colors change, whatever. If you're doing something that you don't have any people in it, any actual actors who have to say lines or any of that kind of thing, then this is easier than that, because all you have to do is then write what I call it is a shot list. And it's not what I call, but it is a shot list in the industry terms. In a shot list, even if you have actors in it, you still need to make a shot list. But if you don't have actors and you're just shooting, like I said, people walking down the street, just the environment, using these puppets or toys or claymation or animation or whatever, you still need a shot list regardless. That will be step 2 after writing the script, is a shot list. And I said that's step 2 because you really need to storyboard it. If you storyboard it, then the shot list is easier. But some people don't want to do the storyboard. I understand. So storyboard and shot list are kind of the same, but not. So a shot list basically simply means is, with this camera like I'm using right now, it means actually deciding what you're going to shoot for this short film or this TV series or web series or a full-length feature film. It's exactly what you want to shoot, and it breaks it up into little scenes. And scenes can be as long or as short as you want to. The golden rule, which of course people throw out the window all the time, but the golden rule is when you're making a scene, quote unquote, that you want something that actually the key pivotal moment happens in that scene or that time frame that you're talking about. So we're talking, we'll use the Harry Potter instance. The scene would be the people coming out of the woods or from around the corner, and them walking down the street and talking about Harry Potter as they walk down the street. And then going all the way until Hagrid actually comes down on his flying motorcycle and gives the baby Harry Potter to Dumbledore, and Dumbledore walks to the door and puts the baby down and puts the note. And then they make this statement of that everybody will know his name, everybody will know Harry Potter. And you see the lightning bolt in his forehead, and then it fades out. That would be a scene. That whole time frame is a scene. And so that would be a scene. Something key, pivotal moment here is information that has to be corresponded, that has to be talked or has to be shown to the audience so they can understand what's now going to happen next. Without that piece of information, it's basically, who is he? Why do we even care? Kind of thing. And that's what I said with this scene. It has to be something that's going on that's pivotal to your story, so that the next part that we shoot or we see somehow is tied into the first thing we see, or it makes you wonder what the first scene has to do with the second scene. That kind of thing. And that's why we call it scenes. It's something that's happening within that few pages of, or that on-screen glimpse that people see. Something that's happening right in that time frame that then corresponds to something else that might happen later on. That's what we call a scene. And it could be as short as 1 page, or it could be as long as 5 or 6 pages. Really trying to go more than 5 or 6 pages for one scene, but it can't be that long. Simply because the fact of you have so much information you want to get into, and that's how that works. Now, when I say the storyboard and the shot list are so similar. So all a storyboard is pretty much, think of it like this. It's a blank piece of paper. Just a blank piece of paper. And you've now decided what you want. You've written your script, and now you looked at your scripts and you broke it up into different scenes, and now you want to convey what these scenes are supposed to look like per your vision. Because the script comes out wonderful. Like I said, with the scripts, you can't do all those things like you do with the book or the play, where you talk about, you know, this is what the background looks like, this is what this looks like. You can't do that for the script, for screenplay. So what you have to do then is you have to then convey what your mind has seen when you wrote this down. Most writers, when they write stuff down, as you can tell by the books, they have a vivid imagination of what this scene looks like, who these characters are, what their motivations are, and what's supposed to happen with these people. So unfortunately, that is not translated in the script because the way the script is written. That's one. And two, people can't always see what you see because it's your vision of what these characters are supposed to do or what these items are supposed to do. Nobody can always understand what you see without some kind of visual representation. That is what a storyboard does, is a visual representation of what your story is supposed to look like. Like I said, I use Storyboard That, which is a good tool. I mean, it's a little rudimentary, but it's only like maybe $10 a month. So for the price, you can't really beat it. And what it does is it gives you a blank, like I said, it's like a blank sheet of paper, and it have these little squares that are drawn out for each, supposedly each scene, or you can do it for a set of scenes. But what happens is you take these things and you make the background picture. You can input clip arts to this storyboard that to actually set up what the scene looks like. Now, like I said, it's rudimentary, so I mean, it shows, for instance, like I did with the clubs, when I did Fake My Dams, it shows the club scene, but it just shows a bare club, like a bar kind of thing. It doesn't specify from nightclub or anything. It just shows the bar. And if it does specify a nightclub, it might be dated like 70s nightclub, but it shows a nightclub. And then you can put your characters in where they're supposed to be, so that when you actually go for shooting the actual footage of this, you now know, well, we're supposed to go first, second, third, and fourth. With that one, you can then either go to the shot list, or you can just use that. And the shot list, like I said, just the same kind of thing with that. The shot list pretty much tells you what order you want to shoot things. And like I said before the other day, that order can change depending on the weather and whether you're shooting outdoors or indoors. And so when you're doing those kinds of things, sometimes you have to rearrange the list of where you want to shoot the scenes that you've written up, that you storyboard. I know it's one of those things of it kind of is a continuation of things. You start with the script, then you do the storyboard, and then you do the shot list. It just kind of flows like that. And most of the time, the shot list is for other people who are working with you. But it also can help you as well if you're an indie filmmaker and you're doing everything yourself, so that you know what shot you have to get for what scene. Because sometimes you might forget that you're supposed to get a filler shot. And I'll tell you what filler shots are later on. But sometimes you might forget you're supposed to get additional shots. Well, if you have the storyboard or the shot list, you can then see, well, I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And like I said, you can change it around. And what happens with why you have to do the storyboard and then do the shot list is because normally with the storyboard, you have these scenes up here, and then we name the scenes like scene 1, part A, where you get these shots of the people walking into the club. I'm using my or in Harry Potter's thing, for instance, scene 1, part A would be the cat coming around the corner and then changing into a beautiful woman, and then scene 1, part B would be Dumbledore coming out of seeming nothing, and a body appears in the middle of the woods walking towards the light. That kind of thing. And that would be the actual storyboard, but at the same time it also could be the shot list, because then you know, well, we're going to get, because the lighting is good over this side, we're going to get, instead of doing part 1, scene 1, part A with the cat with the witch, head mistress, excuse me, changing from a cat to a woman because the lighting is off. We might not do her shot first. We might do her shot second and do Dumbledore's coming first because we have the darkness right here, and then we can then turn the light towards her and try to fix up the lighting situation. But we don't know that if you don't have it written down somewhere, if you don't know which shots or what scenes you need to do, if you don't know, haven't had the storyboard to actually write it up. I know it's a lot, or seems like a lot, but it's really not as in complicated as it seems. It's just one of those things of you need to do it in order for your project to move smoothly. I have been on projects where people did not have a storyboard, where people did not have a shot list. And let me tell you, it was one of the longest couple of days I've ever had in my life, because you would hurry up and get your makeup on and you just sit. And you just sit. And you just sit. And you've been told you'll be done in 3 or 4 hours, 6 at the tops, and it becomes an 8 to 10 hour day because you're sitting there while the photographer or the photographer or the camera person decides what they're going to do, what shots they need, and they're pretty much doing it off the cuff. And that's frustrating for an actress or an actor or even the director. If they're ready to direct somebody and the person who's supposed to be filming everything is saying, hold up, wait a minute, there's too much light here, I need to do it this way. No, it's not enough light there, I need to do it that way. No, maybe I need to bring another light. That's frustrating, and they're stopping the flow of what the project, and it makes it take longer to finish. So, just to recap, write the script. I don't care how long or short. If you need help, go to YouTube, go to the library, go to Amazon to get some great books there. Second of all, storyboard. Please do it. If not for your sake, please for the sake of other people who are doing your project with you. Like I said, storyboard, that is what I use all the time, but there's plenty of other ones out there as well. Get books, read about it before you actually buy something. I just happen to love storyboard. That is just real easy for me to use. And shot list. All of these will help make your project go a little easier. I know it's going to be great for my Black Family Lives because I've already got the script. Like I said, I'm doing the rewrite, and I already really have done the storyboard. The shot list I'm still working on, but these are some of the things I have to do before I actually get into the filming thing. And he's like, well, what about the money? The money will come once I get the beginning stuff. I have faith in my God, and I know that if I start getting things in order, He'll do the rest. So, on that end, I wanted to say thank you for watching again. And also, I will tell my story because I must be heard. Thank you.